Hello, I'm Chris, and in this tutorial I'll show you how to batch create a 100 YouTube shorts that are in the format of a short quiz, which I believe are very popular now. So last week I set up this lovely make.com automation which pulls up data from the Google Sheets. It looks like this. It has 5 questions with emojis, and it's got the answer, and it's got a little comment at the end asking people to comment in the video or subscribe. The way it works is, actually let me show you the quiz I created.
Guess the movie with emoji. Ready to uncover the secrets of a haunted asylum? Session 9.
So you get like 5 questions, and then at the end you get this little
Expertise is super
commentary
heroic. Post your score.
asking people to post the score in the comments, which boosts the engagement on your channel. So many people who claim to be teaching you to batch create YouTube shorts, they tell you to import data to Canva, which you can do, but you just end up working in Canva, then adjusting every single clip, and it's still quite a lot of work. What I wanted to create is a system that produces you shorts 100% hands-off. And I also created another automation which automatically puts one of those shorts on TikTok and on YouTube and Instagram every day at the same time. In other words, it's 100% hands-off. You can just basically run this automation and forget about your YouTube shorts, and you can focus on other channels or other work. However, it does require some setting up work. It means that for this Creatomate, which is a platform that produces the actual movie quiz, I needed to create that template within Creatomate, which took me about 3 hours to do. I also had to import that data. I basically kept on prompting with the Claude until I got the perfect format with the table where the first column is a question, and then we got 2 emojis, and then we got the answer, and so on. And then we got the congratulation text at the end asking people to comment their score. Now, once we've got this perfect format table, we can then just select that, copy and paste. So I did that, and that took me, not a lot of time. Once we got this set up, and once we've got our templates on the Creatomate, what we then do is just hit run. And every time we hit run, all the data, or depending on your settings, we can produce 100 quizzes at one go, or you can produce 1 at a time or 20 at a time. It's up to you. All of them got produced. Once each of the quizzes is generated, the HTTP module will grab it and save it onto the Google Drive. And every single time that folder is filled out with the new video file, it actually triggers another automation which will then just put it on the social media at the given time. I'm going to show you how you can import my template, so you don't need to spend time actually in the Creatomate making the template yourself. I'm actually going to save this JSON file, which is right here, and I will save it for you. You can download it, and then when you import it to the Creatomate, all of that work will be done. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create your own template from scratch in the Creatomate, so you can be more creative and create different type of shorts, quizzes, and so on. So instead of recreating the same quiz, I'm going to create a new one. So let's go ahead and create new template. We're going to start from scratch, and we're going to choose 9:16 ratio because this one fits to all platforms, and we'll start from here. Okay, I also found this little quiz on, sorry, not this one. Okay, so I found this quiz on the internet, and we'll basically recreate it. We'll make a template and we'll batch create a number of quizzes. So this one looks
Do you know
like
in which year these events took place? You are awesome if you can get at least 8 out of 10. First question, let's go. In what year did the Titanic sink? 1912. Second one.
So how it works is we've got the video at the background, we've got the title of the quiz, and we've got questions with the captions, and then we have the answers over here. So let's start by creating the background video. You go over here, click this video icon and just put your background video like that. I'm actually going to put something simple, maybe, not our another quiz, that would just confuse. So just for the sake of this tutorial, I've put this little background video. So when we now just hit play over here, we've got our moving background video. Next, just create your quiz title and we'll put quiz title over here. And you can change the font, I don't know, and you can change the size over here. I choose the auto-sized font because what you need to remember is when you batch creating those quizzes, very often you'll end up with different quiz titles. So some of them might be very long, some of them might be very short. And if you set the fixed font size, you can end up with the words going off canvas. However, if you have it set up where the titles are constrained within this square over here, within this shape, they will always fit over here. Okay, so let's make our title white. Let's make it with a background. Maybe let's put it in blue. Let's give it a nice stroke as well, like that, so it's nice and visible. Okay, we'll now make a questions from 1 to 10. Let's put them to... Now, if we change the opacity of the background, actually you can change, okay, that's the opacity of, let's set it to 30. It looks more like our original. Actually, give it 40. There we go. It looks more like this. Now we want this to be colorful, going from green to red. And to achieve that, what we're going to do is create a mask, which will then hopefully can color and mask and blend to get that. So the first color will be, go to linear as well. Let's set it up to green, and your last color will be red. The text layer as a mask. Let's try that. No, there we go. Almost there. So I've changed the font of the text to make it bulkier and a bit more bulky, I should say. And I've also added another shape, which is just a black rectangle, and it goes behind, and the opacity for it is set at 50. Let's move on to making the questions. So let's just play the reference video. What we get.
Do you know in which year these events took place? You are awesome if you can get at least 8 out of 10. First question, let's go. In what year did the Titanic sink?
Okay, so we have a spoken question, and then we have a question that displays while the ticking sound effects is going. So let's just keep that in mind. And what we're now going to do is create another, what we're going to do is create audio. And this is the narrator asking the question. And the way you do it is you make the audio layer, and we wanted to start asking the question or giving the comments straight away. So it starts at 0 at the beginning of the quiz. And on the right hand side over here where you've got the provider, what you want to do is select 11 Labs or the OpenAI, depending on how you want to generate the voice. I'm going to use 11 Labs as I have subscription for it, and you can preview the voices back in the 11 Labs. So I'm going to choose Matilda over here for me, and I'm going to leave the playback volume at 100. And what we also need to do is select dynamic. In Creatomate, whatever you set as dynamic, it means that the data will be replaced from your data source. In our case, it will be Google Sheets. So the question, whatever the narrator is going to say, it will be pulled up from the Google Sheets. So you want to set this as dynamic, and the quiz title should be dynamic as well, because that will be changing. The numbers are not going to be dynamic. Those are going to be static, and every single quiz will look like this with those 10 questions like that. What you want to also have is those popping up captions for the narrator. What I'm going to do is create another text layer right over here, and I'm going to leave it like that. What you need to do is click dynamic and transcription, sorry. And for the source, you want to select audio. And to keep things organized, let's change the name of this audio to question 1 audio. So when you go over to that text, you can see that the source is the question 1 audio. What that means is it will basically get captioned. So once the voiceover is generated from the 11 labs, the audio file will come back over here and the captions will be produced. Now we want each of those words popping up rather than displaying the whole thing. I guess you could have this karaoke subtitles if you wanted to. I'm just going to stick to the format like in our reference video. So for that, I'm going to click split by the word and I'm going to select 1. It means that only one word will be displayed at one time. For the color, I'm going to choose white. Just keep that white as well and give it a nice stroke like this. And I guess you could have different as well. There we go, that's nice. And this is just a preview. I'm going to keep it in the middle. And yeah, it will just be like this. Now I've selected the background video as well as the text. And if you go over to the top, you can click this button over here and it will be lined in the middle. Or not, hold on. Okay, actually let's keep the beginning of the word in the middle. For that, I'm going to select this over here. Yeah, it's not as good as in the reference video, but that will do. Okay, let's rename that to question 1 text. Now, here is what you need to do. You want to click the audio layer and then hold Control and click the text layer to select both of them. Now click group. So we'll name this group later. So what we can do now is go into that group, and what we're going to have is an audio. The duration needs to be set up to media. The length of the text needs to be set to auto, and the length of the composition needs to be set to auto as well. Now we'll go inside that composition and we'll now create another audio file, which will be your audio file here. That audio will be playing as soon as the narrator is finished asking the first question, and that audio will be your ticking sound effect. You can find those ticking sound effects on the internet. What I'm going to do is just upload the one I've already got, TikTok, and if we play it, works just fine. I will bring the volume down to 50, and once the ticking is over, which goes for about 3 seconds, we want the answer to appear as well as the narrator to say it. Okay, so what we need to do is let's rename it to TikTok sound effect, and let's put another audio over here, and this will be our audio answer 1. Now, as you realize, this text is still going, and this is our question text, and that shouldn't be happening. Now, you might be tempted to simply do this. However, this is now fixed duration and in 3 seconds. Now, you don't know how long your question is going to be, so you cannot set this text to a fixed duration. It needs to be on the auto, but also it cannot overlaps by going over those sound effects and the another answer. So the way you do it is you need to create another composition within composition. So subgroup. So we're going to group it again, and let's name this one question 1, and if we go inside, we'll now set the text to auto again. So this text will actually be as long as this audio file. Okay, and if we go over here, we can now set this TikTok sound effect over here, and then we have answer, and we now also, with the answer, we want to display that with the titles, with the text. So we need to create another text, and now the text should be lined up with the answer next to the one. Because we cannot see it over here because we are inside this composition, we need to go back outside. So just double click here, and now I'm going to paste the text over here to make sure it lines up with number 1, and we'll just put answer 1. We'll change the font, change the color to 1 perhaps. Now, in terms of the font size, again, you probably want to keep it, you want to select the auto-sized font, because you never know how long your answer is going to be. If you decide to do long answers, you know, you want to make sure it fits inside. So how about this? That should do. Let's also keep it with a stroke. That means that whatever the background you have, even if you have a very light background, basically the answers will stand out. What's going on? Oh, not the video, sorry. Answer 1 and stroke. There we go. Now, because we know this is lined up properly with number 1, I'm now going to actually copy across all those. So when we create the next questions and next groups, it will be just easy to move them into the groups once we have all those texts in place, lined up properly. So let's call this text answer 1. So I'm just going to Control C, Control V if you're on the PC, or you can Command C, Command V if you're on the Mac. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So answer 1 goes to answer 1. It's not actually here. It needs to go to along with those two. Okay. The audio answer and the text need to be starting together. Now, the way it's placed over here now, you have a fixed start time for your text. And again, you don't want to do that because you don't know how long was your question. Therefore, you don't know when the answer should start. That's why this audio is set. The start time is set to auto and the duration is set to media for the generated answer voice. And because you want those two to start together, you need to create another group. So select both of them and group and place it like that. Make sure that the start of this composition is set to auto as well. If you go inside, you will now see that it should be at 0 and this one should also be at 0. And the duration is set to auto. There we go. So let's call this composition answer 1. Now this answer is properly placed at the right spot. We know this because we aligned it in the main group and we just simply moved the layer over to here. So this composition, we'll call it set 1. So the set 1, let's just sum up quickly. So for set 1, we'll have a question which consists of a popping up text which is being produced from this audio. Let's just make sure the settings are correct. So your audio is set up to 11 laps, which is dynamic. It means that you will need to provide the actual words that are going to be spoken by the narrator from the 11 laps. If you go to the text, this text is actually a transcription from the 11 laps. I'm not sure if that needs to be set to dynamic because it'll be, yeah, it doesn't have to be dynamic. You just click on the transcription and you set the source to audio 1 and we've got our text settings. As soon as that question is finished, the TikTok sound is ticking and then we've got our answer 1 displayed properly over here. And if we go inside, that text needs to be a transcription from audio answer 1 like this. Actually, no, sorry, I'm wrong. If we set it to transcription, the titles will basically disappear as soon as the narrator, as soon as the audio is finished. But what we want to do is we want the narrator to say the answer and we want to just display the answer in the text. And for that, I'm going to uncheck the transcription and set it to dynamic. It means that we'll just provide the answer and that's it. So once we have this set up, what we now need to do is go back over to the main composition. What we now need to do is move each of those answers to the right place. So the first one you cannot see because it's already been put in place to this group set 1. So let's move all of these to the beginning and those as well. So let's call this, just for the sake of the organization, we're going to call this answer 2 and answer 3. And so forth. Okay, what we want to do now is copy the set 1, copy, paste 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this is our set 1, so let's rename the rest, set 2 and 10. So what we want to do is now move each of those answers to right set for the answer over here. Okay, so actually all of the answers that we've created and moved into the right place, I for now will keep them over here at the top of my timeline. So I'll move them up. Now let's place the first set here at the beginning. If we just follow the logic, we want to have the set number 1, question, then ticking, and then we want to appear the first answer dynamically at the right place. What you want to do is copy this answer and place it right here. So where your audio for the answer 1 is, you want to place your answer 1 here. Move it to the beginning and just set the duration to auto. Now let's go back to the main composition. So double click on any layer that's set to the main composition. And now what happens next is we want to move to the set number 2. But as you realize, the first answer disappeared, right? And it makes sense because we are over here and in the second set there is no answer for the second set. So what you want to do is have the answer number 1 placed at the end of your first set, but you will also want to have it placed at the beginning of the set number 2. So this layer of text, the answer, should also be placed in here, and we want to set the duration to as well. Okay, so we now want to go to set number 2, should have the answer number 2 inside it. Okay, right here. So you want to go inside this group and put the answer number 2 over here. You want to set duration to, and the audio will be the media length set up to 11 laps, and it has to be dynamic. So that's all good. And just making sure we have audio set up properly, dynamic 11 laps, questions, transcription for the question, that's all correct. Okay, so let's actually, the reason it's all black background here because our video finished over here. So what you want to do is change it to loop, and for now you can't see it, but normally this will, yeah. So you click it, you set the duration to auto, and the video will basically loop for as long as your whole quiz lasts. So the real trick in Creatomate is not just placing things in the right place. That's really easy for the static posts, but for any of the video templates, it's tricky because you want to have everything automatically adjusting in terms of the timing, depending on how long the questions or how long your audio is. So that's why it looks a bit complicated, but if you get the logic, you will be able to make anything in Creatomate. I think it's a wonderful tool. So number 1, there we go. So that's finished. Here's your answer. We go to number 2, and as you can see, the first answer didn't disappear because it's over here. And now you want to have answer number 2, which is correct. So let's just move those out of the way for now. And there we go. So number 2. Don't worry, it says answer number 1. That's just a sample text that will get replaced dynamically with your data. On to number 3. Answer number 3, and we want to place it. I'm going to copy it for now. Control C, go inside set 3, go inside the answer and paste it here. Set duration to auto. Now go back to the main composition, and now let's move those again. So as you realized at the beginning of the set 3, which is when we've been asked the third question, the first 2 answers disappeared. So what we need to do is follow the logic from the previous set and place the answer number 2 text into the beginning of set 3. Set duration to auto, and also you want to have answer number 1, sorry, also set it to auto. And if we go back now, the first 2 answers remain in place, and then when the ticking watch is over, we are being served with the answer number 3. Okay, and you basically need to follow the logic for the rest of the sets. I'm just quickly going to speed up the video, but basically for each next of these sets, you want to put all of the previous answers as well as the, next answer for each of those sets, if that makes sense. So to make things easier, I'm going to place those sets like this. You can always right click and hit delete all empty tracks, which to clean up some space, and then so let's do that shape as well. That's your title, so that stays throughout, and that's your background video. This could be image or video or a solid color. Okay, so let's put all these answers into those sets now. Okay, so about 10 minutes later, I've copied everything across, and it should look more or less like this. And if I quickly just skip through, as you can see, up until the set number 5, everything is okay, and then I've messed up something because all the 5 answers should remain within the set 5. So if I go back to set number 6, got 1, 2, 3, 4, but the 5th is missing, so I'm just quickly going to find it. Answer number 5 anywhere here. So copy, paste, set it to. Okay, let's go back, and that's correct. On number 7, set number 7, we're missing the 5th and the 1st answer. Set number 7, auto. Okay, the number 1 is here. Why is it not displaying? That's strange. Actually, the strange thing happened is, for some reason, actually those layers are here, but the duration is set to 0 for some reason. Yeah, you want to be aware of that. So that's correct now, but you want to make sure if you select all of the layers, you want to change timing 4, you can do that. Do it in batch. Okay, I see what happened. They're all placed on here. Okay, it seems like some of those layers are not visible over here. That's because they're super short. The timing is at 0. So for now, I just selected over here on the left hand side, and I'm going to change the duration to 3 seconds. So all of them are visible like this. And now we can give each one of those text layers independent layer like. And now we can select all of them and set the start to 0 and duration to 2. And we should be sorted now. Okay, so let's go back to the main composition and check it out now. There we go. So number 1, number 2, number 3, 4. So it looks like we're finished. What we can also do is have some sort of outro at the end. Let's add another audio file like this. You're going to place it after the set number 10. So now you can have some sort of, you can ask people to subscribe or to follow. So for that, I'm going to set the 11 laps again, set it to dynamic. And also we can have, again, text displayed as before. And set it to white. There we go. And you're gonna click the transcription. We will call this audio, let's rename it to outro audio. And then text, it's this one over here. Now again, the way to keep that text, you want to start it at the same time as this audio over here. So the transcription appears while the narrator is talking. However, if you leave it like that, it'll be fixed statically to that timing, 95 seconds. So the way to do it is, so the text and the audio starts together right after the last answer, is to keep them both in a group. So I'm gonna group it. Let's call it outro, and you're gonna put that at the end. So the start of that is on auto when all the previous sets are finished, and the duration is auto. And all the answers will disappear at that point. If you want those answers to remain, you need to copy all those layers from here, plus the last 10th, which is here, to your outro. And we can put it on top as well. Okay, so we are almost ready for testing. What we can quickly do as well is to make sure that our labeling is correct. So when we connect things together, we don't have any double fields. We're going to be very precise with your naming. In terms of the naming, you want to be correct with all those dynamic fields. So text 1 is correct, that's correct. Answer audience 1. Answer 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. There we go. That should be question 3. And that should be question 3 audio, because we are in the set 3. Then for the answer is answer number 3, and then audio answer 3. I'm not going to bore you with the name adjustments, so I'm going to speed up the video, but I'm going to slowly go through and make sure all the namings are correct. Okay, so now our naming is correct, and we know that. We can call our template super quiz, and if we go out, it's visible over here. We need to now create a new data set for our quizzes. Now, this template will not be any good for our new template. So what we're going to do is create a new Google Sheet. I'm just going to keep the same name and create the new tab, but you can go ahead and create a new Google Sheet. I'll show you how to connect it. So for this, let's call this Super Quiz. Now, what we need, sets of questions and 10 sets of answers. Question 1, then we're going to need answer 1, and like that we're going to create 10. We need columns, 10 sets of 2, 1, 2. Actually, let's rename it on the go. I'm going to speed up this video, you know what I'm doing, and the last column will be our ultra. Let's set the filtering. There we go. So we now need to produce data. You can use ChatGPT for that. You can type your own answers and questions if you want. I'm going to use Claude, and this is the AI console for the Claude. It's a little bit better than the standard thing, but you can just use the standard workbench or the standard interface. So just so you know as well, we could actually create an automation where we trigger the prompting on the go, but it's not a thing with tasks like this. It's just more handy to produce all the data once, and then instead of prompting it within the automation, you've got all your data set ready. I just find it more useful that way. So there we go. Let's start prompting. What kind of quiz should we do? How about geography quiz? I need 10 questions and answers for geography quiz. Questions 1 to 3 are easy. Questions 4 to 7 are medium difficulty. Questions 8 to 10 are difficult. Your output should be in a format of table with 21 columns, where every question column is next to the corresponding answer column. The last 21st column will be ultra column, where in one sentence you will encourage the quiz taker viewer to comment the score. Okay, the way I'm prompting is always to just give it the rough prompt and then adjust it later when we've got something. Also for the settings, I'm going to allow it more tokens, so we're sure you're not hitting the limits. So let's see what we get with that. So that's really nice. So as you can see on the first try, we've got the correct layout. This is what I was hoping for. Question 10, answer 10. Share your score. Let us know what you got right in the comments below. How wonderful that is. And the questions are correct as well. So what we're now going to do is add it to conversation, because that was all good. I'm just going to say that is correct. Now give me 10 rows. Make sure to not repeat the quote. So in a second, we're going to copy across to the Google Sheets, and we're also going to set up the new scenario. Okay, so if you've never used make.com, basically when you log in, you'll be seeing this panel, and what you want to do is click create a new scenario. So you want to do that, and then your first module would be always like a place to start with your trigger. So our chain will start with the data from the Google Sheet. So we're going to select Google Sheets, and for this we're going to select watch the new rows. Now, because I've logged in before, I have set up new connections, but you won't see anything. So what you want to do is click add new connection, and then you can sign in with your Google account. It's as simple as signing into your email. You will then permit make.com to access your Google account, and you will then access your Google Sheets. And if you made your Google Sheet before, you'll be able to now see this. And what you want to do is search by path, my drive, and then you want to click here to choose file. So I'm just going to go over to emoji quiz, because this is my Google Sheet, and for the sheet name I'm going to choose the super quiz. That's your tabs. Does the table contain headers? Yes, it does. And limit is basically means how many rows you want to take on one go. Each time you want to press play, how many quizzes, basically how many rows of data you want to process at one go. So for now I'm just going to leave it at 1 and press OK. And this is where you want to start. For now, I'm just going to choose all and leave it. Now let's have a look on our, there we go. Now it's listening. Let's give it a bit more time. In the meantime, we're going to connect our another module from Google Sheets. We want to pass on the data to Creatomate. And we have three options here. You can make an API call. Let's not bother explaining that here now. You can render the JSON, which is, yeah, let's just leave it for now. What you want to choose is render a template, which we created. So you want to select that. Once you've created an account in your make.com, you can come over here and log in as well with your email address. You might actually be prompted to provide the API keys. I'm not sure, I can't remember. Okay, so in your project settings, you can see your public token over here, and you've got your API key over here. If you click it, you will be given an API key, which you can then provide in make.com if you need it. Also, to generate our voices, you need to click this button over here, switch it on, and that will give you the option to render the voices using the 11 Labs. So for that, you'll be required to give in the API key from the 11 Labs. And the way to do it is when you go to 11 Labs, you go to your account and then you click API keys, and you can produce a new, just a create API key. And then you take that API key back to the Creatomate and you put it here. So you're basically using up your 11 Labs credits when you producing the voices over here, if that makes sense. So once you've logged in and established the connection, you will be then asked to choose the correct template. As you can see, we've got my emoji quiz over here, and here is our new super quiz. And as expected, we got a few places here that we need to map and connect. I think it's because we've got so many columns, it doesn't want to produce more of the content, but let's just copy that, go to over here. Okay, I've just cleared the formatting. As you can see, all the questions and answers are aligned correctly, and I'm just going to say 5 more rows. So the last time I was doing my emoji quiz, it was giving me, you know, like 50 at one go, but for some reason it's not so keen today. I don't know why. So let's copy that again, and let's just cut it, delete it, paste it over here. So it's got stuck at 6 and it didn't finish the last one. So it looks like the Claude is only willing to do 5 at one go. Paste it like that, remove the formatting. Okay, for this tutorial, you know, that will do. So back to the make.com. Here is your quiz title. So let's call it Geography Quiz and question 1. So you want to assign that to question 1. So basically this cell is going to be passed on to 11 Labs. What is capital of Spain? And then text will be produced automatically based on the audio in the Creatomate. That's the reason it's not asking us for the text of the question 1. So answer audio 1, here's our answer 1, and you want to display answer 1. Okay, so once you're done mapping, you can click OK, and this Creatomate will basically render your quiz, and then you will be able to download the file. So you need to now grab that file somehow, which is what you use the HTTP module for. So you select that and then just click get the file and then URL. We also will need the G drive, or you could use Dropbox as well actually. So I'm going to use Google Drive, but you could use Dropbox, that works fine as well. And we're going to choose upload a file. You want to make sure that's connected, and then in the settings again, if it's the first time you're doing this, you can log in, establish connection by using your Google account. You can then select from the list my drive, and then whatever the folder is that you want to save it to, you just choose it. So I'm just going to leave it here, put it into my emoji squeeze for now, and the file will be, you can select that. That means it will grab the file that the HTTP module has grabbed. You just leave it selected like that. If you wanted to have different file naming, you can use that map option and perhaps create another column in the Google Sheets and give it a name, or like just generate the names, so different name for each of the quizzes. But I'm just going to leave it like this for now. Just grab the file, save it. Let's save that scenario as super quiz and let's give it a go. So run. So the data from the Google Sheet has been grabbed and the quiz is being generated. So if you click on that little number over here, that means it's grabbed one row and this is what the data is passing on. So the question 1 is what's the capital of Spain? That's the answer and that's all your questions, and there is the ultra drop your score in the comments. This is Creatomate now working, placing all the data has been grabbed and uploaded to the Google Drive, which appeared over here. I've rendered one of the quizzes and basically those numbers were not rendering for some reasons properly. So what I did is I created just separate layers for each of the numbers throughout the video. The length is set to auto. I gave a different color to each of the texts and that's basically it. And then I've grouped all those numbers over here. So they look better as well and they will render properly. I've also placed the background image. You can't see it because there isn't any placed. That gives you at least an option. So you can insert an image instead of the video if you wanted to. And because it's set to dynamic, that means you can, in your make.com automation, you'll be able to provide the URL for the image like here instead of the video, so you can do it dynamically as well. And so now because those numbers are set to dynamic, you can actually change that. You could say like question number 1 and then say easy, or you can do like this A, B, C, D kind of questions. It doesn't have to be numbers, if you know what I mean. The background video is also set to dynamic. It means you can pull the video from the URL as well. So what you could do is have like lots of different background videos and then have those links stored in your Google Sheet as well and pull them from here. But for now, we'll just leave it like this and let's just try rendering another video. Choose manually. What's the capital of Sweden? There we go, and run. Okay, so the clip was generated and as you can see it's all green over here. That means it got uploaded to our Google Drive. I've downloaded it and this is what it looks like. So let's play it again.
What is the capital of Sweden? Stockholm.
And basically it gives you all the answers to the questions and at the end
Rome. Share your final score.
it says share your final score, and that's it. So I hope you like this tutorial. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to help you with anything.